Internal parasites affect all species of livestock, but especially goats, sheep, and horses. Young animals are also the most susceptible group that we are monitoring on our livestock farms. So today I'm going to talk about how to do the modified McMaster's fecal egg counting technique, and I'm going to walk you through each of the steps. So first, let's take a look at what equipment that we need. We need flotation solution. You need to have some disposable cups on hand. Need to have a tea strainer. I use popsicle sticks. I also use a plastic syringe to draw up the flotation solution and measure it. You want to have your counting slides available, a pipette to draw up the solution to place it into the slides, a scale, a food scale works really well for measuring out the number of feces that you need. You need some gloves for whenever you're handling the feces. A counter works really well when you're counting the eggs on in each of the chambers. And then of course a microscope. And let's not forget your fecal sample. So the first step that you want to do is go and collect your feces sample. So for goats and sheep, just make sure that you properly restrain the animal, and then you want to put on gloves, apply lube to your finger, and you can actually go in and collect your sample from the animal. Make sure that you label the bag that the feces goes in and that it goes directly into a cooler or refrigerator until you run the sample. It is best to run the samples whenever they are fresh though. For horses, you either want to tie the horse up or put the horse in a stall. Once you have your feces, you're going to want to weigh out 4 grams. So once you've weighed out 4 grams, you're then going to add 26 milliliters of flotation solution. That's when you'll take your popsicle stick and you'll make sure that you crush the feces along the side of the cup and make sure that's blended in really, really well to make your fecal solution. From there, you're going to actually pour that solution through a tea strainer so that you get all the liquid through the strainer and it stops all of the solids. And once you've done that and worked that for a few minutes, you can then discard the feces that are in the strainer. So then you have your fecal solution that you're going to be working with for your sample. You'll take a pipette and you will stir that 30 times to make sure it's good and mixed up. And then you're going to draw from the top of that sample and with your pipette, and that's how you will fill each of the chambers. So for the modified McMaster's technique, we are going to fill a 2-chamber slide, and then once you've done that, you will place that under the microscope, and that's when you will use your counter and have that in your hand, and you're going to count the eggs inside each of the chambers and on the grid lines as well. You will add up both of the chambers and you'll multiply that number by 25, and that will give you your eggs per gram. So what can we do with that information? That information can help us determine if an animal is a low or high shedder, as far as how many eggs are being shed out into the environment, what kind of a parasite burden is possibly in that particular pasture, and it can help us identify genetic differences among animals. It is one excellent technique also to determine if dewormers are effective. We know we have a lot of dewormer resistance out there, so fecal egg counting can really help us determine if dewormers are working on our farm.